I call the honourable member Jami-Lee Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pleased to have an opportunity to correct the stupidity that we heard from the Honourable Phil Goff just before. And I call it stupidity because that was the failed Minister of Justice. He was a failed Minister of Justice, and he liked to go on about crime and police, but he was a failed Minister of Justice because under his watch, violent crime went up by 47%. That's right, Mr. Goff, violent crime went up by 47%. And then we heard also from his friend, who's also part of the Sky City caucus, Mr. Chris Farfoy. Actually, I think we can call them the Sky City gang within the Labour Party. Mr. Chris Farfoy, who seems to be a defender of gangs as well. We have two defenders of gangs who stood up and argued against this bill. They argued against this bill because they're happy for gang members to wear their gang patches around the place, around government premises, intimidating people and causing problems. That's right, Mr. Goff. Mr. Goff liked to talk about what he thought we weren't doing about crime. Well, actually, Mr. Goff, you got your numbers wrong because 600 extra police officers are on the streets in New Zealand. 600 extra police officers are out there dealing with gang members, and 600 extra police officers will be able to help enforce good quality law and order policies once this bill is passed.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order, the Honourable Phil Goff.
I seek leave of the House to table a document from the Select Committee today from the Minister showing that the number of police officers in this House are down 446 in the last year.
Thank you. I mean, the member's perfectly entitled to do that, and I will put it to the House. Courtesy would have dictated otherwise. But is there any objection to that course of action being taken? Is there?
There is. You don't like the truth.
Point of order. Point of order.
Right.
Point of order. Point of order.
Member Jami-Lee Ross.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to table a press release from the Minister of Police announcing 600 extra police officers in New Zealand.
Is there any objection to that course of action being taken?
Yeah, only if they agree.
Yes, there is. Okay. The member can close his contribution now, or try.
Thank you.
Hang on. Another point of order. The Honourable Member Chris Farfoy.
Mr. Chair, I seek leave to table the police estimates from this year showing that there's going to be an effective cut of $113 million to the police budget over the next 4 years.
Thank you. I understand that they're already available to the House, so we can't do that. But I would just remind members on both sides, because it's 2-1 at the moment, courtesy is contagious. I call the Honourable Member Jami-Lee Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the truth about the opposition. I'm going to tell the truth about the opposition because they are supporters of gangs. They don't like to hear it, but they're supporters of gangs because they won't support this bill. Mr. Speaker, I want to read out some comments here. Gangs have a culture that promotes and encourages, facilitates or tolerates criminal activity collectively or individually amongst its members. Those were words from Phil Goff. I just wish he would actually believe in them. I'd wish he'd actually believe in them, because if he did, he'd be supporting this bill. Mr. Speaker, this bill is a good piece of legislation, first drafted by Todd McLean, now being taken through by Mark Mitchell, which will help New Zealanders. It'll help New Zealanders rid their communities of gangs. And Mr. Farfoy wants to sit up the back smiling and laughing, but actually, Porirua, where there are a number of gangs operating, would benefit hugely from this piece of legislation. Rather than listening to Phil Goff, he should listen to Mark Mitchell. He should listen to Mark Mitchell and listen to Mike Sabin, because they know what they're talking about. Mr. Speaker, New Zealanders in this country do not want to be intimidated by gangs. New Zealanders in this country do not want to see... I think Andrew Little must have been at Sky City too. He must have been at Sky City too. He's supporting his mates over there. Mr. Speaker, New Zealanders don't want to be intimidated by gangs. They don't want people running around the community with gang patches on, because gangs don't stand for anything good. Gangs don't stand for anything constructive. Gangs don't stand for anything law-abiding. Gangs stand for a collection of criminals getting together, intimidating society, intimidating communities. Mr. McLean says that's a union, probably not too far off, but this bill doesn't deal with unions. This bill deals with gang patches, and it deals with the people out there who have nothing good to offer society. It deals with the people out there who want to intimidate society. And I think Mr. Farfoy and Mr. Goff should tell us why people at a local primary school should have to put up with gang members walking around the primary school, showing young children what it's like to be gang members. Why does Phil Goff think it's okay for gang members to do that? Why does Mr Farfoy think it's okay for gang members to do that? Mr Richard Prosser doesn't. Mr Richard Prosser doesn't. He's actually got a good SOP. Mr Prosser is doing something constructive. Mr Prosser's got an SOP that we're prepared to support. We're prepared to support his SOP because it's a good one that makes some constructive changes to the bill. But the Labour Party just wants to stand up and rant and rave, get their facts wrong about crime in this country, get their facts wrong about the national-led government's contribution to law and order in this nation, which New Zealanders are supporting, which New Zealanders are seeing the results from, where New Zealanders are seeing huge drops in crime, 16% drop in crime so far since we've been in office, the lowest in 30 years. Chris Farfoy and Phil Goff don't care about that. Under their watch, violent crime went up. Under our watch, crime's going down. Under their watch, police were not supported. Under our watch, we've seen more police officers. More police out there, Mr Farfoy, who are going to be supporting the community and helping to get rid of gangs. We talk about, Mr Chair.
The Honourable Member, Jami-Lee Ross.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. I just want to speak briefly and finish off what I was saying about the problem with gangs in the community and the reason why we need this bill. Mark Mitchell and Mike Sabin, and we heard some of the comments in Select Committee about people who fear from gangs, about people who see gang patches on a regular basis. Mark Mitchell and Mike Sabin have real-world experience out there on the street. Todd McClay has real-world experience in Rotorua seeing the effects, the poor effects of gangs. And Mr Chair, New Zealanders don't want gang patches. Mr Speaker, New Zealanders want to be safe. New Zealanders want to be secure. New Zealanders don't want to see gangs playing a large role in local communities. And if it takes a bill like this, which is heavy-handed and removes gang patches from our community to try and tackle gangs and get on top of it, then that's what we need. Phil Goff says it's a powder puff bill. Phil Goff didn't do enough in his time in government to deal with gangs. He's left it to us. Mr Chair, we are seeing some good changes here. We are seeing a bill which will seriously deal to gangs, which will dent their ability to intimidate people, which will dent their ability to go to schools and show school kids what it's like to be a criminal. We support New Zealanders. We don't support gangs. Our friends in the opposition might like to do that, but they're absolutely wrong, and New Zealanders are backing this.
Mr Chairman.
I call the Honourable Member Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr.